work on another gearbox here. Ooh, there's a plastic bushing that's kind of broken in half. Plastic bushings. Supposedly this is a JG gearbox, I think. I was told, I don't remember. Plastic bags, not bad. Keep everything together. This is how it was in the box. Looks alright. Let's go ahead and open this up here. And what's the point in sending the bushings? Because I thought we talked about going with steel. Some type of metal bushings. Definitely looks like a JG piston type. These are, I want to say 7mm. And I only see 4. There's 5. 6 might be stuck in the piston area, my guess. Looking at this, a little bit of the wire is cut, but it doesn't look in bad condition. I think with this I'm just doing an install of a bunch of parts. The threads on the gearbox look terrible. Obviously I'm not looking at the threads, but I can feel it as I open it. And this is terrible. This is not metric at all. So what does that mean? Some type of, well, this is metric. Just the front is not metric. Maybe the screw's been changed out. But those screws came out so easily. I mean, oh my god. When this happens to you, you need a little bit of thread lock, very tiny bit. Because this is not going to hold anything, especially on a higher rate of fire. Okay, let's see, there's nothing in here as far as compression goes. Looks reinforced, great. Great. Most of the grease is gone already, so that's a good thing, because you know we're just going to drop in parts here. And there's the other bushing. So this should be easy to do this work. Installing things. Okay. Cutoff lever is not in good shape at all. What happened to the cutoff lever? It's probably going to be hit the slightest bit, but there's like, it doesn't even have a fin. I mean, if I could drop a bushing straight down on top of it and install it, that's what happened to it. If this will come up. Happens is this thing is stuck in here. There we go. Alright. These type of pistons, the JG pistons like this, are usually very durable. So I don't know why we're suggesting to go to an SHS. There's a heavy weight in the front of this. Looks like there wasn't any grease. The O-ring's kind of worn a little bit. I have a whole bunch of O-rings, so I'm just going to throw that away. Piston head looks really good. Should be fine. It doesn't look like it's going to break. Okay, taking apart the piston. Definitely not the best type of screw here. want to use like a metric, but they don't. It's got a really long screw, so I'm gonna have to come up with something for that. Oh, this thing's heavy. Let's see if we can get this rack out and check it and inspect it. Wow, this is very nicely done here, and very nicely done here. However, still, the only two things that keep this thing from blowing out the rack is here and here. But looks pretty good. Let's try the spring here. This looks great. Let's get this through here. Oh man, it left some pretty good indentions on there. This looks good. Parts look good. Shorter barrel is used for this. So really, this doesn't look like a lot of work is going to be necessary, like mesh work and stuff. Just installing new parts. Obviously the cutoff is not going to work anymore. I don't suggest a new piston at this point. Yeah, this looks perfectly fine. Looks like it's been pre-used, but yeah, everything looks fine there. Let's just go ahead and throw these plastic bushings away. These are useless. I mean, you shouldn't even be using these anymore. Why ship it with it? I don't know. Just throw them away. Maybe there was other thoughts or something. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and open this. I like how this is packaged. You know what you could always do is put it all back together too, but some people, it's more time consuming, they don't have the time for it or something. Okay. Alright, this is terrible. Holy moly, this is the worst spring guide I have ever seen. The plastic in the back is super thin. Oh my god. Well look, I'm just going to barely press. And yeah, I can start to bend that. Wow. It's thin right here too. Take a hammer to this and poof, it's broken. They made it super thin. They just carve it out too. Or the molding's like that. Wow. This is pretty much a throwaway. I guess I'll just put that to the side. I suggest it's throwaway. This is an accident waiting to happen. If this breaks, then actually let me just throw this away for you. Trust me. if your spring guide breaks, then your spring gets effed up, and well, you're going to be paying more for other parts. So it's better that that's just thrown in the trash. Avoid it now before some other damage happens. Whoa, what happened here? Looks like the gear grinded the back of this trigger area. Yeah, it looks like gears grinded that. Probably in the sector we will see that. That's interesting. Anti-versal latch. Everything looks fine. I mean, I'm really satisfied with this because there's not a lot of cleaning. The prep time's going to be pretty quick. Well, actually, maybe not on the reinforcement here. There's reinforcement here that might be an issue. Hopefully not. I don't want to have to cut down. But honestly, let's get realistic here. Preference, cutting down this area, cutting down the back for the spring guide. So cutting here, and then radiusing the shell. Yeah, the front here is not radiused at all. So there is some prep work that's going to have to still be completed. Maybe this is an older type of JG gearbox, my guess. Let's look at the trolley. Trolley looks great. There's no pin to hold the trolley contact in. That could probably come out. Maybe it's glued in. It doesn't seem to be moving right now, so that's a good thing. This is for the trigger. Looks like he included a lot of parts. That's very good. Sometimes I get in these guns and there's just nothing to work with at all. And then they need all new parts of this and that. It really shouldn't come down to that. Alright, there is some clipping away right there for this type of plate, which I've never seen before. This looks like it was done by the manufacturing, I guess. Yeah, because it's molded that way. Not sure what actually could hit that. I know the cutoff can hit in here if it comes up too high, but I don't know about that area. Alright, let's check out these gears here. Sector, oh, it's fractured. I don't know how many times I've seen sectors that look alike like this one. About 4 or 5 times now I've seen them fractured right in this area, and there it is again. You can just see crack, and then a crack again. It doesn't look too serious. This looks reusable. However, he doesn't want to use this here. I mean, that cracks look very tiny. Oh, there's a shim in here. That's not good sometimes with the motor. JG gears. And wow, that's some thick teeth on the bevel here. This bevel looks really good condition. Spur gear looks in very good condition. Alright, looking at the sector. The teeth don't show any real signs like they hit the trigger, but it is possible. It just doesn't really show any signs of it. I want to see if any of these things move. Nope. Thing to note here is the cam in this area is in the right spot I'm used to. It's right where the pickup is right here. Just off to the left a little bit is the cam. Okay, and this is, wow, I've got another one of these sitting on the table right over there, so I gotta make sure I don't get these close to each other. This motor does not look used very much at all. Shorting, it doesn't look like it really touches here. And the pinion is in great shape, but there is absolutely no torque in this thing. I mean, this is probably second rated to an aim top motor that I pulled, had absolutely no torque. That was the worst. This one is right behind it. It looks like the imbil is not clamped very well. So this looks like the imbil could be removed very easily here. Yeah, they don't even, it looks like in the factory they didn't even push these things down, the tabs. But with the imbil pressed in here between these two edges, there's two sides here. We've got a spring on one side and the other side's just force. It shouldn't pop off, there's no way of that. So I'm not going to worry about that. everything looks fine. I mean, this looks pretty good. Okay, is there any other shims or anything in this bag? Nope. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And step this right to the side of it. So I know all the parts here go to this. And then let's see some new parts that are going to go with this. So new parts are right over here. I don't want to knock something over. But it looks like that's what might happen. Oh, here we go. Alright, this spring, check and see what the spring is first. Definitely, I don't think this is a 400 type of spring, so here's the M120. Here's some 13-to-1s. All this is from Brill Armory. This looks great. That's really straight. So some nice 13-to-1s are going to go in here. And this is about a medium thickness, I want to say, on this. It should still be perfectly fine to run here. Thickness on this belt was crazy. That's probably the thickest I've seen. It's very thick, which is always a good thing. And so, other than shimming wise, sometimes. Let's see, the air nozzle here doesn't have an O-ring. Okay. Next parts we're going to need to use here. He needs a new selector plate. Oh, this is a nice bag. Not all parts come like that. A nice bag. This is not bad. Now we were looking at a steel tooth, 15-tooth piston here, but I wanted to say something about this. The racks are bent, but it's very, very slight on these, so I don't see a problem with that. But the thing, if you have OCD like me, you kind of just notice weird things. This one's not so bad, but this one, the teeth are like this, slanted, and it goes all the way up like that. If you look down here really close, let me see if I can hold that straight. You can kind of see that they slant from the pickup and then just all do that down the rack. This one isn't as noticeable. But it's just this one. Now someone might argue, well, did you take the rack out and put it back in, make sure it's not hitting anything in the back here? Yes, I've done that. I'm not really certain why. It's an OCD thing I have. I just notice things like that. Yeah, this one. It just seems like the pickup tooth is enlarged a little bit more. Maybe the molding process or something, but then I don't know, it's just not as straight for some reason. Try to find out where the camera is real quick. So see if I can hold this a little straighter to you. You can kind of see it now. So I would use my caliper on it, except I'm having problems with my caliper. So, but I don't see this being necessary to have. Although a gear mesh, this is really wide between these gears here. That might be a reason why we're going to have to use a new piston for the install here. Well, actually, this, wow, goes right through there. Of course, they have to be hand tested in the gearbox with it, but wow, that looked very promising. Let's see, this is version 2 Tappa plate. I'm just looking at this is bent. Yeah, that's noticeable too. The front of this is bending backwards, so as this goes back and forth, the air nozzle is not all the way forward. We could heat treat this and bend this back forward. You can see it in the gearbox, yeah. When it's down in there, it's not all the way forward. Is there any other parts you want to throw in this thing? Yes. Here's another parts bag. Okay, not necessary. There is a really nice cylinder head. This is all going to come down to money, whatever the person's saying. There's, you know, these parts are nice, but I don't think they're necessary to install. However, I do think that this is necessary to install. So I think they said that they were going to buy this type of part. So this is very nice spring guide. And then there should be some bushings. And these are not cross. I don't really care for the cross ones. Cross cut. Oop, gotta be careful there. I think that's it. Fits in there a tiny bit tight. I like when it fits tight. I need to check the inside of the diameter here. Sometimes there's little like specks of metal. It's in the cast of it, and you can't push the bushing all the way down flat, and so I have to cut it off with a Dremel, just lightly, just or it's that it actually doesn't make that sound smart. Just cut off a little small section. But I don't really see any. I've seen that happen before. If you look really close, you can see it. No, none of these. Yeah, it's like sometimes I really wish that I get a gearbox really jacked up to work on it and figure out these things. But this seems to be an easy ride right here. I guess I can't complain. Can't complain on this one. So. I think that's it for the part wise. Everything looks good. I mean, this is going to become great. Other than the motor, I would probably suggest that motor is probably going to get very, very hot. It just doesn't have any torque. And in this setup, it does need torque motor type. I might have spare parts to make one, I'm not sure. And then we could just buy those parts, I guess. I'll have to look and see. But, oh, we're going to need a new version 3 cutoff here. So I'll have to pull that out of my parts. I don't think that's in here included. Oh, there's another part here that I might suggest. Here's an O-ring air nozzle. We can use the previous air nozzle. There's no O-ring there at all. And this, I mean, we could go either way. You could put an O-ring in this, but I find it most reliable when it's already pre-made. Saves me time from doing it and then gluing it and then waiting, and then so in a way somewhat it's a hassle, but I only recommend staying without going O-ring air nozzle if like the specs are wrong and you can do it and you want to save money, or the air nozzle is very unique, you can't get it. I'm probably going to suggest to buy this part right here. Looks great. It's going to depend on fit. And wow, this fits very nicely. I mean, there's a little bit of friction, but you know, once you put some oil, some lubrication on here, this is going to be very good. So this looks great. Go ahead and get this wired up and just find out if we're going to Dean's this, MOSFET this. I'm not sure. Maybe he can do that own thing, I guess. He has made his own MOSFET before, so I don't think I need to worry about that. I think he just wants me to install. He wants me to get the bushings, the gears, and that's pretty much it. There's something interesting here, is that this has some grinding here too. See, this goes here and this goes there, but it has some grinding there and some grinding here, and look at how they match up perfectly. It's like a little bit of a puzzle. See, they match up perfectly. They're right in the same exact area. My gear was too long and hit that, just a tad bit too long. This maybe. Well, you know what is a possibility is that the bushing broke a little bit, wore down, and this then came around and snagged it. That is a possibility. Okay, one thing I did notice is that one of the contacts is broken a little bit, and because of that, just to show in here, right here, you can see a piece of it's broken off. Because of that, as the trolley goes in, it sometimes won't have as good of a connection. See, look, it pops in and gets stuck. I can't go as far forward. I could bend that. I could pull the contact out of another one and then fix that. And that's how we'll do that part. But no, this is not too bad, not too shabby. We'll go ahead and get work on this.